and we need each other. So I think what's different now is men are starting to realize, oh, maybe we need some of this feminine energy leadership. And women are starting to realize, oh, okay, we can't do this by ourselves. We need to bring men along. And people are starting to go, we need each other. And of course, I'm speaking of, masculine, feminine energy on a spectrum. And a man can have great feminine energy and a woman can have great masculine energy. But it's just this archetypal spectrum that we play on. And it's about balance. How
In today's conversation about power, I'm talking to Katherine Lazaruk. The first time I met her, I thought, wow, this woman is really powerful. She's got a charismatic, powerful aura around her, and you really take notice. But she didn't always feel that way, and she's sharing her journey with us today. And as well as that, we're talking about the old power structures, why Katherine says that they have actually already gone, and what you can do to take on the world and your life and your business on your own terms. Get ready for a really empowering conversation. Hi, so on today's conversation about power, we've got another treat. So I'm talking to Katherine Lazaruk. Am I saying that correctly, Katherine?
you are. Well done.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Now, Katherine, you told me you got out of bed at an almighty hour this morning to be on here. So, first of all, thank you so much for doing that. I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Only for you, Lynn. Only for you.
That's always good to hear. So tell us where are you, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll start chatting about power.
Sounds great. I am in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, also known as the ancestral unceded territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh people. We are quite connected here to the land, which is amazing. And it is very early and very dark right now in this part of my world. And the work that I do is in executive presence, or it's a combination of image consulting and executive coaching, which is kind of an interesting intersection because many executive coaches are very focused on strategy and helping their clients work as an executive. And my world is much more about who are you as a person and how is that going to show up? And then how are you going to show up in the world as your whole self? And it's particularly timely because now we're moving into this age of authenticity. And I'm like, thank God, I've only been talking about it for 15 years. So I'm moving into this space now that I call executive being. It's not what you're doing. It's who are you being as a leader and how are you showing up in different ways? Because for a long time, we've had to wear these corporate masks to fit in to a largely male, into a world that privileges male dominance. And so many women, men, all kinds of fun, funky people have been squishing themselves into boxes in the corporate world. And I'm here to say no more.
Sounds good to me. I absolutely. I think the majority of people have had to squash themselves in to fit
Oh,
into a model that suited a very small number of people. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's not good. We need to change that.
absolutely, absolutely. I spent long enough in a
You
corporate
do.
environment to think at a certain point, I think, who am I? I
Yeah,
completely lost who I was.
yeah, you do. You lose your identity totally, and that's not okay.
No. And it's not okay for companies either. I mean, how can you
Absolutely not.
get great results if people aren't being themselves?
Yeah, and I think the chief problem that I notice is that companies will say, we want people to bring their whole selves to work. And then someone shows up as their whole self, and the company goes, oh, not like that.
Not that way. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. So they're like, we want people to come and play in our sandbox, but we don't want to change our sandbox at all to make it comfortable for those people to be with us. And that's a real problem. And that's with my executive teams. I often say, they don't need to change. You need to change.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, completely. I don't know if you've read, there's a book I was reading recently by somebody called Marianne Seacart, who wrote about authority. And
Mm,
she said that, the default is often male.
of
So
course.
it's the unquestioned, isn't it? Though this
Yes.
is just the way sandboxes are.
Ah,
That thing. Yeah. Yeah. It's, well, of course, that's just how a sandbox is, stop causing problems, just play along. Yeah.
No, 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 no. That's not how it is anymore. This is the sound that I just made is the sound of women over 40 everywhere. It's like, oh, what are we doing?
Yeah. Are
And
we?
yeah,
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
we doing? It's
And
funny
still,
to me.
still need to do this. Do we still
Yeah,
need?
are we still needing to? And I think what's happening now that's different than what's happened before is, first of all, there's more critical mass. There's also more exposure. People are talking to each other in different ways through TikTok and other social media sites. And people are starting to realize, oh, we have a bunch of like men are like, oh, I'm lonely and miserable. And I'm like, well, idiot, you destroyed your containers, dummy. Like, many, many millennia ago, like most of humanity was governed by women holding the collective and men producing within that collective. And then, I guess it was about 400 after the advent of Christ, Constantine came in and was like, okay, well, this is dumb. We're going to like wreck everything. And they killed, destroyed all the temples, killed all the women, burned all your healers, burned all the people who hold your containers, tortured them and said, we can't live like this. And now you wonder why you're miserable and lonely. You destroyed your container, dummy. Like,
Yeah.
you destroyed the people who hold you capable, who hold you accountable, who hold you in their arms and provide you with all the things that you're longing for. But it's like, that's, the piece that is wanted is this tiny fraction of what women are designed to do. Tiny fraction. They only want the baby making and they want the feeding and that's it. And I'm like, but that's not how it works. If you really want that, you have to give women back all of their other power, all their financial power, all their power to hold space and community, because we're the long range thinkers.
Yep.
We're hormonally designed to be long range thinkers. Men are designed on that 24-hour cycle. So it makes total sense for them to do the same thing the same way at the same time every day, which is how our world is designed. And so women get a bad rap for being unpredictable, but women are incredibly predictable on a 28-day cycle. And we need each other. So I think what's different now is men are starting to realize, oh, maybe we need some of this feminine energy leadership. And women are starting to realize, oh, okay, we can't do this by ourselves. We need to bring men along. And people are starting to go, we need each other. And of course, I'm speaking of, masculine, feminine energy on a spectrum. And a man can have great feminine energy and a woman can have great masculine energy. But it's just this archetypal spectrum that we play on. And it's about balance. How can we be balanced leaders? How can we show our teeth when we need to? How can we be kind and gentle when we need to? How do we make space for different people at the table? And that's what women are great at.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm completely convinced that if taking it out of the boardroom or the corporate environment as well, if you look at the challenges that we've got in the world now, they are massive. We have massive existential challenges.
Yeah, we're totally unbalanced.
Yeah, and we can't fix them, as Einstein said, you can't solve that problem using using the same kind of thinking that got you here. So we have to change this.
Mm-hmm.
I really do believe that women, especially, and when women in business,
Mm-hmm.
these new leaders that are coming out, that we have a way to really really affect the changes that we need.
Yeah, I think it's true because it made sense that in a mechanized industrial age, we would do the same thing the same way all the time because all the bolts needed to be in the same part of the machine every single time perfectly. But we're not there anymore.
No.
So it makes no sense that we're still operating in systems that would give us that kind of factory output. We don't need that. We need more flow in our world. We need more body consciousness in our world. We need more embracing of our humanness, lean really hard into being human and less into being machines and to being compartmentalized. I did a piece a number of years ago that I called The Age of Compartmentalization is Over, right? It's over, right? It doesn't work for us because we're not compartmentalized beings. We were never meant to be that way. So now we're entering this place of things moving more gently back and forth, right? Even with our work environments, like the pandemic really accelerated it, but people are going, oh, it's really nice to work asynchronously. Oh, it's really nice to come together when we need to. And it's really great to be able to go and work at my own pace. And the companies that are embracing those kinds of structures are far outperforming companies that don't. Their attrition rates are better. Their retention rates are amazing. The company culture, people are happier. People want to work for them. And the companies that are doubling down on get back in the office and work, 40 hours a week here, they're losing people like crazy. Like it's just a huge cost. And I'm like, when are you guys going to wake up?
It's
World
amazing.
moved on, get on the bus.
It's
Right?
amazing, isn't it? I saw somebody last week, I think it was somebody in the UK saying, work at home isn't real work. It's just, it was an old white guy,
Of course it was.
which I hardly need to say, do I? But yeah. And the other thing, listening to you, and something that I think I'm becoming aware of is that as our work starts to change with AI, as we start to be able to farm some of the less interesting tasks out to AI,
Mhm.
that actually should, could give us more space for this flow that you're talking about. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so this is only going to increase.
Yeah, like because we have more leisure time anyway, right? Hundreds of years ago, most of our day was taken up with surviving, getting food, getting shelter, right?
Yeah,
Now we have so much convenience and so much space in our lives to fill it with beauty, to fill it with art, to fill it with productivity, to fill it with ingenuity. I think actually that we're entering a beautiful new age, even though it seems a little bumpy right now. And I often say to people like yourself and other coaches and other people that I work with that are sort of purpose driven people, I'm like, it's okay, babe. You're on the transition team. That's all. So when it feels heavy and you feel like you're all alone, just go, oh, right, I'm on the transition team. So I'm on the thin edge of the wedge. I'm a pioneer. We're all
absolutely.
here to do this. And I just think, oh my God, thank God Lynn is over in Holland doing her bit of work because whew, I don't have to worry about that. And then you think, oh, Catherine's doing her work. Whew, I don't have to worry about that. Great. But we're all on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I talk about leadership a lot. I think that we are as business owners, just like in organizations, we're leaders, and you can choose to accept that role, or you can try and stick your feet in find some mud to stick your feet in and try and stay where you are now. But that is not going to work. We are starting, things are
Yeah.
starting to change so fast now.
Yeah. The level of cognitive dissonance that I'm seeing with some of my very experienced leaders in my book, it's actually interesting because the person who helped me get the book deal is an old white guy.
Mhm.
He is a lovely man. He means very well, but he's an old white guy. And I wrote the book and I sent it to him as a courtesy. And he was like, I hate it. He hated it. And I'm like, of course you hate it, sweetie. Of course you do, because the world is so different now and you just don't get it. And it's okay that you don't get it, but it's not okay that you're not even trying to get it. Right. And I remember even just a few years ago, one of my old white guys. Anyway, so the point is about the book that I actually changed the language a little bit to soften it because
Right.
I literally had 7 special appendices for my old white guys, like get on the bus, guys. And I sent it out to a couple of other men who fell into that category. And they're like, maybe you could just soften it a little bit. So I changed it to 7 special appendices for my very experienced leaders because women do also fall into that
Of course.
dinosaur thinking, right? The can kicker
Oh,
thinking, I'll just kick it down the road.
yeah.
And so I did change it, but I do remember, like, so one of my clients came in, this is several years ago now, and he was so mad. He was so mad. He's like, why can't people just come to work and do the job I pay them to do and then go home? And I'm like, because they can't, because you don't want them to really, but they don't need to change. You need to change. And so you, as a leader, need to be way more comfortable with your own emotions so you can be comfortable with other people's emotions. You need to allow some space for people to be human and allow space for you to be human as well. And you know what? You want to get laid more often? Soft skills, baby. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And I think as a leader as well, thinking back to when I was, in a leadership role in corporate, I
Mhm.
remember, being an experienced project manager and looking at, it was a project manager just started, and he was like a little puppy, and he
Yeah.
couldn't wait to do things. And yes, I'll do that and I'll get it done in that time scale. And I'm thinking, you'll never get that done. That's never going to work. And then I thought,
Mhm.
I need to go and do something else.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I got to a point where I can predict everything,
Mhm.
and that is going to stop me trying new things.
That's right. You get cynical.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was for me, that was at the moment I thought, right, I need to go and do something else now. I need to go and look for another challenge. And you got to be aware of those things.
Right. That's perfectly beautiful. You have to be aware. And in my book, I talk about the two sides of that, where you're self-aware, but you're also other aware. Because sometimes they can read a room, but they can't read themselves.
Yeah.
Or they're really aware of what's happening for them, but they're totally unaware of how anything else is landing in the room.
Yeah.
And you need both. And it was interesting. We were talking just a minute ago about sort of societal change. One of my least favorite phrases is, well, that's just the way it is. And I'm like, is it? And this whole day about, well, society is like that. I'm like, well, who do you think society is made up of?
Yeah. Yeah.
We get to decide.
Yeah.
We decide how
Yeah.
it's going to be.
And
Right. So I
yeah,
find it fascinating.
yeah, and in so many different ways as well. I was just thinking of another example that I work with lead pages, and all of a sudden lead pages decided that I needed to pay them a massively larger amount than I had paid until now. I haven't got any email notice about it. And suddenly there was a large amount of my credit card. So I
Sure.
got in touch with them. And their answer was, as a subscription service, we are not able to change this. And
What?
I said, look, what you're saying is you don't want to change it.
Yeah.
This is not a rule. This is not a law. This is actually you're trying to make what you don't want to do into some kind of rule because it suits you.
Right.
That'd be stupid. So I got the money back in the end, but I really had to push and push and push. But how many
Yeah.
people would stop when they see something like that
That's
and
right.
not
And be like, hey,
question
wait
it
a
and carry
second.
on? Yeah.
Yeah. I know. It's this idea of being so inflexible, because you were speaking earlier about authority. And I think that's one of the things that leaders have historically relied on. They've just relied on their positional authority, and that doesn't work anymore.
No.
So back to this cognitive dissonance idea, people have been successful for a long period of time doing what they were doing. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, this isn't working, but they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And I'm like, oh, yeah, baby, I'm sorry. The world is moving on.
This was why why I really enjoyed the thing I really enjoyed about project management, because you didn't have much of that positional authority and you
Yeah,
still had to work out how to get something done. So it was a
right.
challenge all the time. Okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And that, to me, I thought I was developing leadership skills far more doing that than
Mhm.
inhabiting some box in an organogram, sort of, yeah. But
Yeah.
okay. So, Katherine,
Okay.
we are going off I love this. I love this kind of conversation. This is the kind of conversation I love. And I am completely in awe that you can do this conversation at this time of the morning. But
Here I am.
yeah, you really are. Yeah. But if I say the word power to you, what
Mhm.
associations do you have with it?
It's
Love,
twofold, but the immediate association is yum, yum, yum.
ooh, love it. Love it.
Yeah, power is delicious. But power not for the misuse of it. And I think that's what's happening in our world right now is people are seeking power not to be a useful channel for the good of the world. They're seeking power for their own gratification, for their own wealth, for their own life, for their own world. And this is what I think we're really missing too in our leadership is the responsible stewardship of power. Right? You're given, it's that whole thing, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Spider-Man, Uncle
Yeah.
Ben's, Mr. Peter Parker, right? This is what you need to do. And I feel like right now what we're seeing is people are getting great power, but they're forgetting about the great responsibility part. They're just purely like exercising it like little children.
Yeah. Oh,
Little
yeah.
children. I have a big hammer. I can run around and make ugly trucks. Right? You're like, oh, baby, you
Yeah.
could like cure world hunger. You could be a real hero.
Yeah.
You could bring
Yeah.
clean water to everybody on the globe. You could be a real hero. But instead, it's this perverted sense of we're just going to hold on to everything like children, as if sharing would actually diminish you somehow. Right. So I think of power as this beautiful flow. I think of power as being personal, but also collective. I think of power as being intangible as well as tangible. Here are things I can do because I have agency. Here are things I can do because of the community that I've built. Here are things that I can do personally. Right. And then I think of power as being a collective thing that is granted by others. And I think leaders do a disservice to themselves when they forget
Yeah.
that power is given to you.
It's granted.
It's
Yes.
granted to you. And as such, I always have this image of it as like something really like almost like a baby, like it's very precious. I have been given this level of power in order to care for my world, in order to care for the people in it, and to bring forth this idea. Like even the economists are getting on board now, like Katie Raworth with her donut economics, right? How do we create an economic system that works for everyone and cares for everyone, not just privileges the few to the detriment of the many? Right.
Yeah.
So I have this kind of I always think of power as a sphere. I don't know why. Whenever I picture it in my mind,
Mm.
it's a sphere. It's this thing that envelops us all and also exists inside of us at the same time.
Yeah, that's a beautiful image. A beautiful, beautiful image. Yeah. Yeah, we are seeing some of the excesses
Mm,
of the worst kind of power, aren't we?
no,
At the
it's
moment.
bananas.
Yeah.
It's bananas. Yeah. And I feel like every time I see the current leadership of the world, the current men that are in power, I just want to cuddle them up and go, oh, boys, oh, baby, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that, honey. Like, come back.
Back to
Let's
earth.
slow you down. Let's give you a cuddle. Let's give you some nice food. Let's like calm you down. And then let's talk about how you're going to use this power that you've been given in a really beautiful way. And let's do it together. Like, let's just walk you along. Let's grow you up a little bit. Let's give you some emotional intelligence. Let's give you a little bit of
Might be an idea.
understanding.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I really feel like this is just trauma in action that we're watching. And they're all little boys, like they're dancing on stages. They're all gathering up together. I'm like, oh, baby. Like I feel really sad for them and sad for us because we're all sitting here
Yeah.
with the effects of it.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Bezos just closed Amazon plants in Canada and Quebec because they unionized. They unionized. They brought a case against Amazon. Amazon lost. So Amazon is like, oh, well, we don't want to give you equal, we don't want to give you employee protection. So we'll just close all the factories. Like, how mean spirited is that?
That's
It's
that's
like,
the
oh,
that's I mean
like,
that's company policy because the
hmm,
place I come from in the UK, Coventry, has a large Amazon,
yeah,
plant there,
fulfillment center.
and they tried to unionize as well, and they were the plant that was considered having the most chance of being able to unionize.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
just constant problems, the same thing. So that's just
Oh
how
yeah, for sure. It's not a bug, it's a feature of their thing. And that's like Bezos has been very open about the cruelty of his policies. He loves it. And I'm like, this is sick. This is just sick.
Yeah, I mean we've seen this week some of the so the great demonstration of it. I mean, I'm the the richest man in the world, so I can do some kind of salute and then say it's not a Nazi salute. I mean,
Yeah. Come
what
on, man.
planet are you on that you think you
Yeah.
can that's okay?
Yeah. It's like we see you. We see you. And you don't need to be this way.
Yeah.
Your sharing the wealth takes nothing from you. Nothing. And you could do so much good. And you're choosing to do these other things instead. And It's just totally fear-based. It's totally mean-spirited. And I'm like, man, like what kind of parenting did you experience
Yeah.
such that you've turned out like this? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Get some therapy, man.
Well, in that guy's case, there are things that are known about his the
Oh,
way he was
oh
brought up.
yeah, it was terrible. And same with Trump, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he had a terrible, terrible upbringing, and so has passed on and become a terrible, terrible person, which
Yeah.
is, and maybe, and not to everybody, I'm sure to his family, like everybody's different in every context, right? I don't know,
I
but
doubt.
it's the idea of your upbringing deeply affects your being in the world unless you change it.
Yeah.
Unless you change it. And I know that we're entering an age of great hope and great prosperity and great community. And it's going to take all of us continuing to gently push back, to aggressively push back, to be like, look, we're not going to take this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you guys need to give it up, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if we just sort of like roll over and let people, you know,
Mhm.
take over. I mean, that's what they're trying to do anyway. But
Of course.
if
But I
we
don't,
all
yeah,
stand
yeah,
up,
don't even understand why. So when I think about, you're talking about power, people forget that they have individual power. Like I have total control over my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. And I allow others to have control over theirs. And it's that nice boundary between the two. And at the same time, without our container, without people holding community for one another, it's very difficult then to corral and coach and correct people that are doing things that are deeply antisocial, like deeply against humanity. And so our strength is in building these communities, building places where people are like, hey, we can govern in a different way. We can govern by consensus. We can do a shared, a group conscience. We can do things differently. It doesn't have to be this authoritarian my way or the highway only. It just doesn't work anymore. It's not working for us.
yeah, absolutely. There was an earlier episode where I'll add the link in the comments where we were talking about that as a business owner,
Mhm.
we have the ability to set our businesses up in a different way.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we can make very conscious choices about how we want to do things and
Exactly.
it's that contribute to that, that empowerment and
Mhm.
we run our businesses too, which is a beautiful,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is, and it's also leading by example. And I work with many, many corporate women, as I you have had experience in that world as well. And I work with some very brave men also. Only very brave men come and work with me. But in that corporate world, there's this perception, at least when women enter my world, they're like, well, I don't have any control. And I'm like, well, that's not true. Right? You control your calendar, you control your schedule, you control when you come in and when you leave, you control the kind of work that you're doing, you control your level of focus. You're not at the will of your boss. Like you're not. There are some meetings that, yes, it'd be great if everybody could get together and come to that meeting. But when you're being scheduled for everything and you don't have room to eat or pee or breathe, that is not healthy.
No.
And you have the opportunity to change it. But it's until they start exercising their power and start seeing the ways they can begin to chip away at that sense of I don't have any control. And until they start doing it, they don't really believe it at all. They just don't believe it. And it's like, okay, well, try something small. So I always advise people to start with something small. Start with booking your lunch break just as busy, and nobody can block over it, and don't negotiate it away. If it's 30 minutes to start, just start very small, or start shutting off your computer at 5 o'clock and going home. And they're like, well, then I won't get the promotion or I won't get ahead. I'm like, I'm not sure that's true either, because generally speaking, what I've discovered is when my clients take over their calendar, they get way more done in the time that they have.
Yeah.
Right. I forget what the principle is, where it's like whatever task you have will expand the time,
Oh yeah.
whatever you give
Yeah.
it, it'll just fill
Yeah.
up the whole time. But if you are structured, you're like, okay, this is how I'm going to work. Then you're working in your work time. You're really focused. Right. Employers will be like, oh, well, they need an 8-hour workday. I'm like, you're getting maybe 4 to 6 hours of work out of people if you're lucky. But if you allow people to work at home, you allow them to work asynchronously, you'll get better results from people, and everybody will feel better. Don't you want people to feel better? That's what I always think. I'm like, Why wouldn't you want that?
It makes sense, right? I always think that people who are happy and are able to be themselves and are valued for being themselves, they're going to do their
Absolutely.
best work.
Yes, they are. Everybody
That is
wants to be
obvious.
seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah.
If you as a leader can see people for who they are, can hear them and value them and show you value them, however they like to be valued,
Yeah.
right? Because not every person that works with you is wants to be valued in the same way. But when you see, hear, and value them and they feel like they belong, then they want to be with your company. And if they don't want to be with your company, you don't want to hold them anyway.
No, let them go.
Let them go, right? Let them go. And it's this beautiful give and take, this beautiful flow that we're starting to see. And I'm waiting for it to enter schools. There's still a little bit of, a little bit of rigidity there as well, but I'm just waiting for things to start to fall away, for the new leadership to come into place and say, okay, we can do this asynchronously. Okay, we can do a hybrid model. Okay, we can do things in person. Because it's true, there are some things that are difficult to do when you're not fully in person. They're just easier when you're all together because then you can feel each other's energy,
Yeah.
which is really lovely. Foster that sense of connection that we all need. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Don't despair. It's coming.
Yeah. So, when I've encountered you before, and today, Katherine, you seem to have everything all together. Yeah. Yeah. I know. And, this is the outside. Yeah. So I don't know what it's like in the inside. I don't know if you're like, a swan, beautiful on the outside and paddling like crazy under the water. I don't know. And you may, and what my experience tells me is that a lot of time people have been on a journey to get where they are.
Yeah. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah, I can see the recognition. Yeah.
So
So
much therapy.
so could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I do think I have it more together now than I've ever had it in my life. It's, this is not fake. Like I'm not showing up and being fake, right?
Oh,
This is
oh,
who I am. But one of the metrics that was the best that I ever have uncovered for myself is the metric where I try to reduce the time between falling off my center and getting back on. So it used to be when I was younger, because I have a really wide emotional range, big emotions, like big highs, big lows. I'm an artist. This is my thing, right? But I didn't know how to deal with that at all. And my parents didn't know what to do with that. So they ended up mostly trying to like just squish, right? Just like
yeah.
don't be so dramatic. Don't like you're too much. I got a lot of that growing up. And it wasn't until I was about right before I hit 30 where I had this massive realization of like, oh, there's something like I'm not wrong. There's something wrong with the world right now. And it was that at that point that I got a counselor for the very first time. And she was like a grandma figure almost. She was really lovely. And she was the first person who said to me, "It's not your fault." And I was like, "Oh my God, it's not my fault? What do you mean it's not my fault?" Right. And that started this unfolding journey, kind of this unraveling, really. I had this big unraveling. And I had a beautiful friend. I was teaching school at the time and I just hating it because I love to teach. I love teaching, but I hate the school system the way it is because of the rigidity of it. Like it doesn't work, right?
It's McDonald's.
Yeah, I just don't enjoy it. So I have had a beautiful friend, still have him. He's a lovely friend. And he said to me at the time, he goes, "That's what stress leave is for." I was like, what? I could take stress leave and work on this? Because of course my family is fully suck it up and move on. Like we are staunch Ukrainian, gritty, you just and move forward, right? Which
Right.
is a very useful skill, super useful, but it doesn't apply all the time in every situation. So when he said to me, that's what I did. So I went on stress leave and I did a lot of deep personal work and did some freelancing, singing, performing, came back to teaching and was just like, oh, I can't, this is not, whatever this is not working. And I got so desperate that I used to wish something would kill me. Like it was awful. And so what did I do? Woke up with a lung tumor one day where I'm like, oh, this is not good. So And my husband, I'd gotten married in the interim, and he said, you have to leave these jobs. They're killing you. Because I was teaching and I was singing in the opera. And both of those careers have quite narrow parameters. And I'm not a very good small box person, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just kept fighting it and just kept like listening to people say, oh, you can just grin and bear it. Like, this is the way it is. And I, at that moment, had this huge wake up call. And I was like, okay, I don't need to die to be free. I'm already free. I've left that job. And 6 months later, the lung tumor was gone. And I had a job doing corporate training at PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is one of the big 5 professional services firms in the world. And then when I was divinely ejected from that role, right in the middle of the recession, this was when I had been working with a coach kind of in the meantime. And he said, what do you want to be when you grow up, little lady? Like right now, if somebody said that to me, I'm like, you're fired. Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
But at the time, I literally had this vision, and it was my first company name and the first tagline I ever used in absolute clarity. And I just started to laugh. I'm like, image consulting, that's not even a job. Like, who does that job? And to his credit, he said, it's a real job. You could do that job. And so I started building my practice around my day job. And then when I was divinely ejected, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start this full time. And my husband said to me a few years ago, he said, when you said you were going to start an image consulting business in the recession, I thought you were crazy, but I didn't say anything. And I'm like, good man.
That is
why we are married.
Yeah.
And so, over the years, I've had my practice now for 15 years, and I'm over 50 now. I'm 54. And now it's like, okay, we got some good back half energy going on, but it took a long time to get to this place of deep, deep acceptance, lots of grief, lots of like sadness for the inner child, like for that part of me that wasn't nurtured, because how could my parents have known? They don't know. They didn't have any kind of grounding for how to deal with a really sensitive child. Well, how could they know? It's not their fault. But it took me a long time to kind of excavate all of that stuff and excavate the past and excavate, dig it all up and just use it as fertilizer. Like, just go through the shit and be like, okay, what am I going to grow now?
Yep.
And so you're seeing me today as the product of, God, how many years is that? That's like 20 some years of deep pursuit of who am I as a person, and what value do I have in the world? And in fact, just in 2023, I had another really bad mental health episode where I was working with this big old white guy, ex-fancy coach, and he was hammering me with like, what value do you provide? And because a lot of my work is intangible, it was hard for me to say. Like, most coaches have a hard time saying what it is that they do.
Yep.
And it just drove me right down into the dark. And I was going to nope out. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is not good. So I did all the things, reached out, talked to my husband, got some friends to reach in, got a counselor, and then was like, wait a minute. Okay. I need to be here to be the change that I want to see in the world. And since then, it's like, now I have a beautiful community of big-hearted, purpose-driven entrepreneurs that are just like me, where we're a little woo and we're really also ambitious and we want to change the world and we want to do it in a great way and we want to give back. And I'm like, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm with my people. Now I know myself well enough to be okay with working 6 hours a day, where it's like on my work day, I'm like, I have my 2 work sessions and I work in those sessions. And on the days where my energy is like, if I can feel something's not on, like some emotional piece needs to be addressed, I do it. I don't question it anymore. Like, my intuition says go right, I go right.
Yep.
My intuition says go left, I go left. Yep. And it always works. Like, it's a beautiful, divine guidance, internal compass, whatever it is, works really well. But I think for people, women in particular, my experience and the experience of my clients is when women hit 40, they're like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want. And when women hit 50, they're like, fuck you, get out of my way. There's no, and then 50 to 70 are the most productive decades for women.
Absolutely.
It's insane. Like, so when I hear clients that are like, oh, I'm almost 30 and I'm like, oh, baby, don't even worry about it. Just wait. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Like, I cannot wait until I hit 60. and my mother was always like that too. So she's been a good role model in that respect, where she was like, oh my God, 40 was great. Oh my God, 50 was great. Oh my God, 60. And she's like, oh my God, 80 was great. Can't wait till I hit 90. Like she's always had that attitude. So it's soaked into my bones. And it's really true. It's absolutely true. It just
Yeah,
gets better and better and better.
we absolutely do. We absolutely do. If I that's why I thought it would be good to sort of like look back a bit, because if
Yeah.
people listening or watching this and they're thinking, wow, she's so got everything
Right.
together, and you do, which is fantastic. And
Took a long time.
it was a journey. So if you're listening to this or watching this and thinking, "Whoo, it's I'm not there yet," well, keep moving.
Neither am I.
Yeah,
I am not finished.
we
Right.
no, exactly. We just keep on moving, keep on trying, keep on learning. Yeah.
Yeah. I fully believe if you're not dead, you're not done. Right. So you're still awake. Okay. There's more to learn today.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you're
And
not dead, you're not done. Just
and
keep moving.
what you were saying as well about how you get better at, get better at getting back on track most
Yes. Your
quickly.
recovery time is
Yeah.
shortened.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, when I was in my 20s, it could take me weeks to get over
I know. Oh my God. Something would knock me off and I'd be a
something
bed
off.
burrito baby crying for like a week. And now I'm like, it's fine.
Exactly. And I think, well, oh, or it might take me an hour or two if it's something bad.
Yeah. Like if it's really bad, it's like, okay, okay. I need a few hours, or I need a day, or,
Yeah.
I need to take a bath. I need to have a cup of tea. I need to sleep on it. Maybe I should have a snack. It's always where I go back to. When it's really bad, have a bath, like
Yeah.
get in the ocean, like get your feet in the dirt. It's always reconnect with your humanity, reconnect with your body, and
Yeah.
your body will know.
Yep.
And even when everything is so dark, it's like you will always know the next right thing. You'll always know. And you only need to know the next right thing. And sometimes the next right thing is a snack. And then after you have your snack, then you'll know the next right thing. Like it's just this level of worry that people have, that they think they have to have it all figured out. You don't. But I can tell you a shortcut is listening to your body. Your body is first.
Absolutely.
Connecting up your emotions with your mind, and connecting your whole person self. That's a super shortcut. That will supercharge your journey and make everything way easier. So much easier.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast recently where they were talking about nomads, a nomadic group, and they have no idea about time. And
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
West, we are so obsessed with time, and
I
we put ourselves under so much time pressure. I have to get
know.
it done. There's so much I need to do and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And these people have they don't have the vocabulary for time, so they don't
Mhm.
feel pressure. So they just do things as they arise, as
That's
they
right.
happen.
That's right.
And in the same way as you're talking about your intuition, your intuition says do this. Well, I'll go and do this.
Yeah. It's totally weird. Like to
Yeah.
live that way in a world that prioritizes time and scheduling the way we do is very weird. Like I was thinking of before, like in December, there were things I had to do. Like it was book stuff, and I don't know, there was a bunch of stuff, right? And I had this huge hit of like, I need to go for a walk right now. And I'm like, okay. So I go for a walk. I literally go lay in the field and look up at the sky, have a little cry because it's so beautiful. I was out for 3 hours. But then it was so easy to do all the things I needed to do
Yeah.
because I just had recharged or had the energy. But if I hadn't listened to that poor body, say, I just need a walk, I would have been like slogging. So that's another indicator for me is whenever anything feels really hard, like you're pushing a noodle up a hill,
Yeah.
just quit. Just
Yeah.
be like, okay, so now's not time for that. So either what cycle of the moon is it, and what activity is best suited for this cycle of the moon or my own menstrual cycle, or, I just need a break and step away, get some perspective and come back. Like
Yep.
just quit, that whole push through. I
Nah.
don't know. I don't believe in it. I don't think it works,
No. No.
Mhm.
Katherine, we've nearly reached the end. It's been lovely. I have a feeling we could do this for hours. Is there any last thing that you'd like us to know before we finish off today?
Any last thing? I think the thing to do for people that are seeking power or seeking to explore power The key is go within to go without. You want to change something in your external world, it's an inside job. That's the first place to go. It's the easiest and hardest place to go, but it's the best place to start. So if people are feeling powerless, go back to what's within me. What's within me, and start there.
Love it. Great advice. Katherine, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and sharing all of this with us. I really, really appreciate it.
You are welcome. It's a pleasure to talk about this. So thanks for providing a forum for me to do it.
Okay. Bye-bye. If you're enjoying this conversation about power, I'm going to invite you to subscribe. Just ring that bell. Now, I believe that now is a time where we need to be having this conversation, and we need to be talking to as many different people as possible and getting as many different perspectives as possible. And the more subscribers there are, the easier it's going to get a wide range of guests to appear on the show. So if you think this is a valuable conversation, especially now, please subscribe, and I'll keep delivering the most interesting guests I can find so we can continue this conversation.